Hello, everybody. My name is James, and a very happy new year to you. And on our opener of Clash of the Correspondents for 2025, I've started, of course, with the mighty Spurs, who don't feel quite so mighty right now. Firstly, let me introduce you to our Tottenham Hotspur correspondent. It's Ricky Saunders. How are you, Ricky?
Um, Other than Tottenham, I'm all good, thank you very much.
That's the most important thing, mate. And our Newcastle United correspondent is absolutely flying at the moment, I presume. It's Simon Bibby. How are you, Si?
Doing smashing, thanks, lads, and Merry Christmas to you and all the listeners, I guess. Merry Christmas? Fuck, I got that wrong. New Year's. Sorry, I've already started drinking.
You're in a different year, literally. So we should say to
I
clarify this
rehearsed that in my head
to
as well.
I know, yeah, you've right fucked it up. We are pre-recording this on New Year's Eve. It's about 48 hours before you'll hear this. Hopefully nothing will date between now and then. And by which point, Ricky, who knows? Maybe Tottenham might have done some business in the transfer window, but I doubt it. I got a question for you. Of all the things that Tottenham could do in January, what would you like to do most?
Yeah, win a game. That'd be quite nice. I'm assuming you mean transfer wise, or
Well, anything the football club could do. Got a League Cup semi-final, got a North London derby, you got a transfer window open. What's like the most important thing for Tottenham to do in January?
buy some players.
Okay.
We are absolutely threadbare.
Where's the priority then?
Um, that's not look. I mean, the obvious priority is centre back because we don't have any. Um, I actually think we don't need to buy more centre backs. As in we've got enough at the club. They're just not fit. My priority would be a left back.
Okay. Udogie now injured as well, we think. Hamstring problem presumably isn't going to be a week or two. Jed Spencer's got in the team a little bit recently. I mean, it's kind of been one of the pluses of the last month, actually, that he's actually been used and involved and done all right. Is that not like suitable cover?
No, because our left backs, as in Porro and Ndoggy, are probably the hardest working. Sorry, left backs. Our fullbacks are probably the hardest working fullbacks in the league, bar none. And they are absolutely out on their feet. They've got nothing left to give. We've got Spence that Postecoglu now sees as acceptable to put him in the side, and when he's come in, he's done really, really well. Other than obviously, your red cards and things like that. But we need we need one for each side. We need to be able to rotate Udogi and Porro at regular intervals. A lot of these injuries that we're getting, they're all very, very similar. They're muscular injuries, they're strains, and it's because of the work they're having to put in what is now every 3 days. And they've got very, very little to give, and their bodies are breaking down. And if we're going to continue to play in this way, we need another suitable backup. Well, a backup for Udogi or someone who's better than Udogi. Whichever one Levy decides to get. But that'd be my thing. Everything comes from the back, but we don't have sufficient cover at the back to be able to give our players a rest.
Is Ange to blame for these injuries?
I don't know if he's to blame, but his style of football is to blame. So look, you could blame Ange, you could blame Levy. They've both got to take a little bit of heat on this one. It's Ange's style of football that is causing the injuries, but it's Ange not being able to rotate his squad as much as he'd like. That is not giving the players a rest and enough downtime in between games. And the reason why he can't rotate them is because we haven't got the backup in the squad and we haven't got the backup in the squad because of what injuries. It's a bit of a revolving one, but we need a bigger squad, a better squad. I'm a little bit disappointed that he hasn't shown more faith in some of the youth team. Yeah, we forced in Dragusin against Wolves when we've got Alfie Dorrington, and I'm not saying Alfie Dorrington's ready, but surely he can come in for a game and do something rather than an injured, dodgy centre back. So yeah, Anne should show a little bit more faith in the excellent youth we've got there. But yeah, a little bit of both, a little bit of Ange, a little bit of Levy, but getting injured because of the relentless running that they have to do week in, week or sorry, half week in, half week out. It's every 3 days at the minute.
So you experienced similar problems with Newcastle sort of this time last year, actually. And I think actually your circumstance was way more even extreme than what Tottenham's is at the moment. You literally were putting the same 11 out every week, and I think there were a number of key players missing during that period. Is Newcastle's period now, when you reflect on that, is it often as simple as having your best players available? Like, how important is that?
What, when I reflect on last season compared to this?
In comparison to where Newcastle are at now, compared to say I mean, December last year everything went wrong for you. December this year it feels like everything's gone right for you.
I mean, yeah, obviously your best players are going to make your team better, but I think Ricky made a good point about having a bit of depth. Last year, Howe just relied on the same 11 fit players to try and grind through December, and it didn't go too well. I think we played you around, was it around this time last year, pretty
I mean, sort of
much?
mid-December, yeah.
Yeah. So it's yeah, the difference of not having that European competition is, it's there to see. We've still gone quite deep in we've both gone quite deep in the League Cup. So for Spurs to try and fight on three fronts is kind of proving, like, particularly the way you play as well. And again, like Ricky mentioned, your fullbacks and like the strain that's put on them, it's not surprised. I think you've seen a dip in Porro's form, and Udogie seems to be getting injured repeatedly. So, yeah, it's been great having our best players fit. We've got Dubravka back in now, who's arguably, best goalkeeper that we could possibly put in our team. So, yeah, it's all going well. We're coming up roses.
Is that tongue in cheek or not? Because he has done very well. It's 4 clean sheets in a row. But Nick Pope was a very big miss when he was injured last year. Why doesn't it feel quite such a miss now?
Tonali, I'd say two things. Tonali in the form of Dan Burn. Teams just aren't getting the shots off. We're not having to step out as much. Tonali is kind of, so previously what you had was like Dan Burn or Shah would have to step into midfield when like Bruno would vacate that position, or they would just have to step up and help, and that would just leave like massive gaps. And then you didn't have Dubravka coming out doing a sweeping role that is really good at. But now, since Dubravka's come back in and Tonali's moved into that number six role, he's just done such a good job like protecting the back two. Dan Burn's playing really well, and to be honest, like he really hasn't had that much to do. He's flapped at a few crosses that you'd expect. His distribution with his feet is better than Pope's, and you always get the thing with Newcastle when we're doing well off some of, like, there's a small section of our fans that will like start saying Dubravka should be like our number one and things like that. But all I see is potentially like driving up his price in January, and yeah, I think we'll potentially make a goalkeeper transfer with talk of Trafford. I think he's been in our list for a while. So yeah, it's just great timing, I think, for him to come back in, play well, and hopefully we can maybe get an extra mil out the Saudis for him in January.
So you're quite happy with your number two goalkeeper? You don't
No,
need another goalkeeper by the sounds of that, then.
no, he's not a long-term solution. I think he wants to be number one. He still feels like he's got that in him. I don't think he's the right goalkeeper for the way that we want to play. And so, yeah, just happy that he's playing well at the moment. And if he was to leave in January, I think it would be on much better terms. And it was just, I think, quite nice for him to come back in and keep a clean sheet at Manchester United, seeing as he threw his dummy out last season and went there on loan.
Ricky, when Si mentioned James Trafford there, I was like, leave it alone because I'm sitting here quite desperate at the moment. Don't be doing that. I mean, this is a bit of a sorry state, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. I'd, the we're probably not going to do anything in that area because we need to do things in so many other areas.
Yeah, you say that. You and I were at the Etihad, and there was no Romero and there was no Van der Ven, and actually there wasn't a lot to change the game that day either. But Vic was in goal,
Yeah.
so it's like since then it's all fallen apart, mate.
It's all gone, absolutely. And look, it shouldn't be forgotten either that he played that second half of a broken ankle, and still kept a clean sheet. So look, I know that your heart sunk as much as I did when the realization was that we've got Fraser Forster for 3 or 4 months. Let's be honest, he's done a lot better than we both thought.
He
He's
has.
been right. Um, he can't play the way that we try and play though. He's got away with it so far. It became obvious against United in the League Cup that he has got some massive frailties in that area, and that's going to be other teams have seen that, and that's going to be exploited. yeah, look, we need to get another goalkeeper. But who are we going to realistically get? We're going to get somebody else's, you know, second or third choice goalkeeper, because whoever comes in, they know that when Vic is back, then they're going to be on the bench. So we're not going to attract anyone of real quality. We're going to be getting another Fraser Forster or similar.
So I use this word loosely. Would you be happy to proceed through January without Tottenham buying a goalkeeper?
If we focused our attentions on the other problem areas, then yes. If we did nothing in January, then no, I wouldn't. I'd be quite furious.
Okay. What's your current stance on Ange?
I'm still in favour, but I'm finding it hard to justify now. To people that I speak to. I'm The injuries are obviously a problem. And as we said at the start, some of that is his making, some of it not. But yeah, I'm finding it hard to. I look at our points tally, I look at our defensive record, I look at our league position, I look at the well, I say the progress in the progress we've made, which is to go backwards, and I'm struggling to justify why I'm still supporting him. We are in three competitions. I
For a
suspect
week or
that,
so.
well, yeah, I suspect that, well, we're in four, I suppose, with the FA Cup.
Oh, I
Um,
just assumed you scrapped off the league.
well, I mean, look, we've been saying, all season, fifth's enough, fifth's enough. We ain't getting fifth.
No,
We're
no,
going to
no chance.
struggle to qualify for Europe via the league. Um, there's a lot to be said for just writing off the league season and concentrating on one of the cups or all of the cups. But yeah, I'm still in favour of Ange, but let's say that's becoming more and more hard to justify. We've done a lot of the signings we've made. They've all been kids, or mostly kids. They've been brought in because of the style of football they play. And that's all geared towards Ange's football. If there is going to be a change, I hope that Levy doesn't go for some big name manager again. He's got to go for somebody who plays the same way and is going to utilise all this fantastic talent at the club. There is some great players at that club. Some of them aren't quite ready. Some of them are injured. I think Wilson Odobert, for example, he's. I think a few eyebrows were raised, signing a kid from Burnley, but he's a real talent, and losing him as much as we have, it really restricted our options on the wing massively. All the other players we've got, with the exception of Decky going forward, they're all similar players. Odegaard gave us something different, and to miss him has been crucial. And I just hope that, yeah, if there is a change, it's someone with a similar philosophy at least, or someone that is going to give the youth a chance and not going to come in and get £200 million to spend on some old duffers.
Can you visage a change?
Yeah.
Like, is there a point here, get beat badly by Newcastle and Liverpool? I mean, then Tamworth. And you ain't Tottenham if you ain't shitting yourself about that, I promise you.
Yeah, I am. That is the classic banana skin, isn't it? A team in piss poor form going to an up and coming team, hungry for success. Um, yeah, that is. I don't think we're going to lose, but with these kind of games, normally, yeah, you're 95%. I'm probably at the minute 70-30, and that's that's decreasing as we get on closer with the game. But yeah, look, one thing that Levy does and has done when the fans turn on him is when he boots out the manager. He doesn't seem to take the hint that it's not the manager, it's him.
There
And
are there are other times though the managers have been called for though, like Nuno was told you got to go, for example, right? So I think generally he'll follow that line. I've my personal take is at the moment that until the crowd turns on Ange, Daniel Levy can't. If the
yeah,
crowd turns, then he'll act. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there are some pockets of the, well, not so much the crowd. The crowd is still fairly behind him. Social media, as we all know anyway, is a cesspit,
Different,
but
mate.
it is everywhere I look, mate. It's Ange out, Ange out, and if Levy reads the Bird app or the Sky app or Facebook or whatever, he's going to just see a raft of anti Ange stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't take too much notice of social media. I'm sure there are plenty out there who just cannot get on board with Eddie Howe. Like, there's plenty you still see every time Arsenal have a bad result, Arteta out and stuff like that. I don't
Yeah.
worry about socials too much. So, how do you view the Ange Postecoglu situation at Tottenham?
It's interesting with especially like having just played Manchester United last night and this kind of narrative of certain managers being stuck in their ways and having like one system and sticking to it. Um, seemed to do well when he came in. Everyone was kind of bought into his style of play and what he wanted to do. I just think you can't come to the Premier League and not have like a plan B. And it seems like some of these foreign managers are coming in. They've been hired because they've been successful at lesser leagues playing a certain way, and then they're brought in. And to be fair, how long's he been there? 2 seasons. This is 1.5 years,
We're
and
18
he's been
months,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, you can only really judge these guys on the amount of window and transfers for players that they've brought in. Like, I have the players that he specifically brought in under his reign made the team better and been successful now. I know you guys are in a better place to judge than that. I don't know. I just think it's a trend that's going around the league at the moment that is pretty dangerous. Like how many? I don't want to hark back to just having like English managers in the league, but there's what like two in the league at the moment. I think isn't it like Howe and who's the other? Who else is English that's managing the league at the
Struggling to
moment?
think, to be honest. When you said it, I was like, is there another one? Who is it? Don't know,
There-
mate.
there is a second one. So Dyche, that's
Oh,
it.
Dice shit.
Yeah, who also only plays one way.
Obviously. Sean
But it
Sorry.
does
And nobody else
English and
say
English
anything else,
managers.
please.
Um, but yeah, I think it's just club owners getting their heads in spin and just not really realizing what the league's about and what it takes to be successful in it. And like last night, the team that Amarin put out and that midfield that he put up against R3 was just like laughable. And you feel for him because I've lived in Lisbon. I've watched his sporting teams play, but you can't turn up in the Premier League and have that kind of brittle philosophy and not be adapting and not changing your and tweaking your approach game by game and opponent versus opponent because there's too many good teams in the league. So if Ange doesn't have his players available to play his system, then you're gonna struggle, and it's whether Levy's going to bail him out in the transfer market and back him, or whether it's going to be an inevitable kind of like sacking and parting of ways because is it good enough to win a trophy? Debatable. It's good football week on week, you'd say most of the time. It's not been recently. So yeah, I'm just quite happy that we stuck with Eddie Howe, to be honest, through our own little difficult patch earlier this season.
Come back onto that about Eddie Howe, Si. I want to pick up a couple of points, Ricky, that Si mentioned there. Firstly, do you believe that Postecoglou has been backed by Daniel Levy since he took the job? Forget beforehand.
Um, yeah, I think he has, in all honesty. Money's been spent and quite a lot of it.
Okay.
We signed Solanke, club record fee. Mickey van der Ven. I know we tied up some other loose ends as well with signings that predate Postecoglou. But Archie Gray, 40 million, Odebear, Berrival. There's been lots of players come in for some half decent money. So yeah, I think he has been backed.
Okay.
And I,
Do you,
I don't know whether these are the players that Ange wanted, or it's easy to say with people like Berrival was, that's one for the future. Maybe it wasn't an Ange signing. But players have been brought in, definitely. Not first team ready players in the most part, but there's been money spent.
so to follow up on the point then, do you think, as Si said, that the signings that he has made have improved the team? Because there's a bit of judgment on that at the moment,
I
right?
think,
Because for every Mickey van der Ven, there's question marks about others, isn't there?
yeah, they haven't improved the first team. There's only two players we've bought that are first team ready, and that's Solanke and Van der Ven. The other, I mean, like Archie Gray has been thrown in a lot more than what he would have been, and in a position that isn't natural to him as well. Um, I think Odebear would have developed into a first team regular by the end of the season, like a regular starter, but he's been hampered with his injuries. But no, there's two players have come in, and I wouldn't say it's improved the team. No, the squad definitely, but not the team.
I'll throw Vic's name in now
Oh, yeah, of
as
course.
well.
Sorry, Vic.
It's easy to forget at the moment because I try not to think about the goalkeeper situation. But there are others that haven't, right? Madison, Johnson, these have been disappointments, really, haven't they, on the whole? And Johnson's goal returns are not bad, are they? But
Yeah, do you know what? Madison, he's quite hard because I mean he started like a house on fire last season. All went a bit wrong after his injury. Johnson, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because of the fee we paid for him or the club he came from last season. Obviously, Forest are a different beast this season. Um, or the fact that he isn't or wasn't at least a household name. But I think he gets a lot more bad press than what he deserves. I really like him. Is he the answer to all our prayers? No, but he's a lot better than some of the criticism he gets, I think.
Do you think he was an Ange signing? That smelt like a piff, kind of like not piff, like a financial fair play kind of deal because Forest needed to sell at the time, and it felt
It,
like that was a bit of a Spurs transfer strategy for a bit of picking up players in with other teams in like desperate sort of situations. So I don't know, and I from an outside, I'd say. Madison is a bit harsh to judge with just because of how well Kulu's played, and you got to think like how why is Kulu playing so well? Then that is probably you got to give the manager credit for moving him from being a kind of a winger to more of a sort of central player. So yeah, you'd think if Kulu had been more successful last season playing in that position, if you can tell me if he was, then maybe yeah you wouldn't have signed Madison at that point. Just my thoughts.
no, Kulusevski only really played there kind of basically this season, right? Well, actually from pre-season, we did see it in kind of stages last season, but Ange never seemed comfortable about it, even that whole period that Maddison was injured. So it's only really been this season. Certainly when Maddison was bought, it was the type of profile of player that we needed. But it goes both ways. I think you'd have to look at those two signings for the expenditure and say they've not really worked. But then I also think, Si's mentioned it there, the improvement in Kulusevski in terms of moving in position. Pat Sarr, massive improvement, right, in terms of development of him as a player. So he has developed some players, others haven't developed as well as hopes. It just feels like a whole mixed bag all
yeah,
round,
I
basically.
don't. We said like with Mourinho when he was there, name me one player that improved under his coaching, and you couldn't find a single player. That's not true of Ange. Other players haven't worked out as hoped. Is that Ange's fault? Is it their attitude or their application? The fact that they're playing through injuries and they're tired. I don't know. Obviously, we're not close enough to the detail to understand that. But yeah, there are some players that have definitely improved under Ange.
Yeah. How do you feel about Eddie Howe, Ricky?
Um, I once I think he's maybe better than what he's given credit for. He was massively out of favour last season, and I couldn't really understand it. Um, like us this year, he had loads and loads of injuries. They were playing Champions League football with a non-Champions League squad at the time. They unlucky or their own negligence, but Tonali and what happened with him, that was a lot of their budget gone on a player that couldn't play. And yeah, they've as wealthy as their owners are, they haven't really got the money to spend, and that's obviously hampered Eddie Howe as well. So he's had to develop some of the younger players and the homegrown players, which he's done, and he's done really well. In all honesty, there's some really real talent there that has either been come through the youth ranks or has been picked up for relatively small funds, and he's done a good job of them. And look, the recent form is proof of that. Up to fifth in the table, playing some really good stuff, getting some really good results. And Newcastle are no pushover. They're nobody's fault, and they're a real challenger now for a top four spot this year.
More than a challenger, I think. I tipped you to do it in pre-season, Si, but I didn't see much in the opening couple of months that made me think that you would. I just want to touch on, though, before we talk some of the personnel at the moment. We've heard lots of speculation about it not being right behind the scenes with Howe and the ownership. I guess winning football means that people stop talking about it. Is it as simple as that at the moment, or is there still a problem in the background, or is it a case of while Eddie's team's doing well, everyone ignores the problem basically?
Well, I think we'll find out next month. I think you're right. Newcastle's a fishbowl club. Everyone knows that. When things aren't going well, that coincided with a transfer window where we didn't really do much. Same with the previous one as well. So, and I talked about it previously, like Howe's, all of the people that backed him have kind of left the club, and we've got a transition in ownership and upper management above him. And there has been friction that's been kind of publicly been reported as well. So proof will be in the pudding in January. He's come out and said that he doesn't think we've got a lot of money to spend. I don't particularly believe that. I feel like we could, if the money was there for Gahey in the summer and we didn't spend it, that money's going to be there available now. I'd expect Paul Mitchell to be able to make a couple of sales, not massively significant ones, more from a wage structure point of view. I think like getting Miggy off the books will be important. I think we're going to extend Longstaff for a year, but that might be just so we could potentially sell him as well. Dubravka, I think, might go in January if we can get another keeper in. So I
You got
think
Flecademus players, mate. You don't need another one, surely.
he'll go. I think he'll go out on loan and he'll be sold next year. That's a weird deal, but
But you spent loads on him, Si.
yeah, someone else can spend loads on him to take him off us if they want. That would be good. Yeah, so I can't remember what the original question was, but am I happy for Howe? Yes. I think next month is a pretty big, really massive month for us. I think we came into the season lacking momentum because we didn't add to the first team, and it almost felt like everyone was a bit of in flux because of the change in ownership, a bit destabilizing for the club and the players. I think just didn't really have like a kind of really set goal, but you can tell in the last couple of weeks we're like properly locked in now. You can smell getting back into that Champions League place, and we're in another cup semi-final. I'm kind of probably I've got quite high hopes against Arsenal over two legs. I'd say like
It's like me
given
and Ricky, actually.
yeah, well I mean
More,
yeah
we've got more high hopes for you than we have for ourselves, so put it that way.
but that's where Hal's at right now. Is really good manager, solid. He could go. I mean, he if he went to your club or Man United's club, he would. Then you'd see it'd be a 9-day transformation next 18 months. But it's when you get to like year three of the project with him, I feel like that's kind of where we've started to see like a few issues with like Bournemouth. I think he's overcome that with Newcastle, but he needs to be back now. Like the club need to back him, and if they don't, I think weirdly enough, even though he's like going to hopefully have a really good end to the season, you've got to think like if we're not backing him now and we've got the funds to, then kind of like what's the point?
So you say the funds are there now. So are we under the assumption there is now no PSR issue at all?
No, I'd say it's going to be ongoing until we sell someone. I
So
think it's still going to take a big sale of one of like our kind of marquee first team players, I'd say,
I guess
to get
the
over
one
that.
that's possibly a fear this month is Gimres. Because I think Isak would just take too stupid money for anyone
Yeah.
to bring forward now. What a phenomenal player he is. But with Gimres, you look at kind of the issues City have got at the moment, and you think if Newcastle were prepared to sell, you could see that. That's not to suggest that you do want to, or that you'd even necessarily want to go. But it's the sort of one you think, I could see it. Is there any danger of that?
I think every player in the squad's going to have a price. And I think that's the way that our club will operate going forward. But I don't think that price is short of 100 million, particularly the way he's playing now. So I'm not worried about any of our kind of main players leaving. I think if
Yeah.
we were to sell one, it would be because it's to our benefit, not because we've been put in
And
positions to do
also
it.
you're flying, right? So the team I think can smell that there's a real chance here to really kick on and push on.
He loves the club
And
as well. I don't think
no, I
he's
mean
nowhere
he
near
he
pushing for a move.
absolutely like wears his heart on his sleeve. You can tell that. I don't think he quite needs to celebrate every time he wins a throw in, but
No,
he
he does.
cares.
I fucking love it.
Um
It's incredible.
if
It's
you lot love
incredible.
it, that I'm fine with that. You mentioned that kind of it almost feels like the same squad as last season. Having players available and fit helps, but I guess Tonali has felt like that new signing, particularly over recent weeks. There was speculation as little as sort of like a month ago that he was potentially a bit homesick. Now it seems to have locked this down where he's playing brilliant in the sixth position, and it's completely unlocked Kimrez and Joel Linton to be aggressive monsters, both offensively and defensively. How important is that midfield free now? Because they won't always get the freedom of a City like they got from Casemiro and Eriksen the other night.
Yeah. Oh God, if I'd have known he was going to pick that team out, I'd benched Hall, annoyingly. last week, which I think you might have done as well. Like
I did, yeah,
there
yeah.
was just no way they were going to do anything. They were going to lay a glove on us picking that too. Yeah, it's been amazing, and I think it was a frustration that everyone could see at the start of the season, like wise that he did that Howe didn't try it earlier, and he was persisting with Tonali at the eight. I just don't think he kind of trusted him, and the same you could say with like Lewis Hall. Really, I think it takes a consistent run of performances and doing exactly what he wants for him to give players the trust. And obviously Tonali's got that trust. He's locked that position up. Bruno's playing night and day football compared to when he was having to carry that sort of the role of the sixth position. I think there was a bit of tension between the two as to like who was going to control the majority of the football. But now they're playing so well together. And yeah, you can poke holes at Man United's team, but I think like last night for the first half hour, there was stuff that we were doing, like the intricacy of the football that I've not seen us play before. And I think the subs that Man U made, I think it was game one by that point. And we were quite happy to just kind of like play out the second half. But yeah, it's exciting to see those three playing in their best positions and how I think by extension not fucking around with the front three as well. Like you've seen less of the Gordon popping up on the right and Joe Linton being tried out there. It's kind of no, we're gonna play Gordon on the left where it's his best position. Then he started playing a lot better, and then Murphy's done enough to keep his place on the right. So very settled team. Yeah, just super happy with things going at the moment.
Okay. Can you see yourself buying a right winger?
Yeah, no, we will. I think Murphy's a fantastic squad player, but even the last couple of games you've seen, I think he finds it difficult to sustain a level of performance playing like 90 minutes or 70, 80 minutes every game. I think he's the sort of player that you need to kind of like dip in and out of the team and play in cup games and things like that. So I think his natural role in the squad will be backup right winger. Whether we sign that player in January remains to be seen. I think we might. Again, it depends on kind of injuries at the time, and there are still a couple of other key positions like right centre back that I think the club still feels is more of a priority, particularly with how Murphy's been playing and contributing.
Okay. What's more important to you, Saturday at Tottenham or Tuesday at Arsenal?
Tuesday, Arsenal. I think for Howe, he needs to win something. Um, and I want to win a trophy. And even last night, just thinking about how we lost to pretty much the same team in the League Cup final 2 years ago, still grates on me. We were good enough to win that day. We didn't have the experience and we just didn't play as well as we could have. And we played Mickey from the start of that game, which we wouldn't do if we got back there this year. So I think, yeah, win something is the be all and end all for me and the club. And I think it's just going to push Eddie into the next sort of
Um,
stratosphere of his career.
Devil's advocate, and it doesn't really feel like there's any reason to think that you wouldn't, but could eyes get taken off the game on Saturday a little bit?
Yeah. I would say the fixtures in between the two legs, as we saw, I think 2 years ago, there's probably a bit more of a danger of that. So what have we got? It's Bromley in the FA Cup, and then I think it's like Wolves. Actually, is there more games this year than last year in
I mean,
between
your
the two
fixture run
legs?
in the league actually between
It's
there's a
really
big
good.
space in between the
Yeah,
first
there
and the
is, isn't
second
there?
legs. It's about 4 weeks between
Yeah,
them. Your Premier League fixtures in between the two legs of the semis are pretty strong. I mean, there's
yeah,
3 home games in there, I think.
yeah, really good. I think it's too hard to say at this point. It depends what happens in that first leg. Like if we go there and we win 1-0, we get a positive result. Could the players have one eye on that for the next couple of games? Yeah, I think so. I'm less convinced it will affect the Spurs game. I think it'll be the games after Arsenal that might be a factor.
Okay, Ricky, is Wednesday against Liverpool more important than Saturday against Newcastle?
Um, if Liverpool was a one-off game, possibly, but we're not going to beat them over two legs, are we?
I mean, how many do Tottenham need to win by next Wednesday to feel confident about going through?
Oh, 4 or 5, mate,
Tough, more
minimum.
than that.
Absolute minimum. Um, yeah, especially going to Anfield in the second leg. If we are in any sort of advantage, which I can't see we will be, but if we are, they are going to throw everything at us. I mean,
I'd take a 1-0 defeat now in that first leg, I think.
yeah,
And hope that we got some players back for the second leg and like give me a chance.
yeah. Look,
That would be
the
it.
second leg is was it? I think it's the 6th of February.
I say 1-0, I should put like 4-3 or something.
Well,
It's
yeah,
more
well, yeah, it's all
likely, isn't it?
London, isn't it? yeah, look, the second leg is over a month away now, so there's every chance we will have some of our players back. They may come back in to replace the new players who are going to get injured, but we'll see what happens. Um, no, I think at the minute every game's important. We've got to win as many games as possible. The fear is, look, the league season is done compared to considering anything meaningful. We're still going to be chasing European football, obviously, but right now, this League Cup is possibly our best way into Europe. We've got 3 games to qualify for Europe. We win 2 of those games potentially, and we're in Europe. So,
Hypothetical then, which competition is more likely to be won at the moment, the League Cup or the Europa League?
um, well, silly as it sounds, possibly the Europa League because we're
Mm.
not going to have the quality of we've got to beat 2 of Liverpool, Arsenal, and Newcastle to win the League Cup.
I'm not sure there's anybody in the Europa League that's better than what Newcastle are right now. Never
No,
mind the other two.
not at all. But it's just our last 2 European performances have concerned me a little bit. We've been gaping wide against teams that, to be fair, you would consider to be inferior to us. Maybe not so much Galatasaray.
You
They
won't
are.
be coming back to Scotland next time I go up there, will you? Bloody hell, go on.
Well, yeah. Look, with Rangers, we shouldn't be scraping draws against Rangers. Look, they're a massive club, but they're not a very good football team. Not in Premier League's compared to Premier League. So that's concerned me a little bit. Yeah, I still think that's possibly our best shot, but we've got to beat 2 teams to win the League Cup and get back into Europe. And this as well, right? Levy is going to be forward thinking. If right now there's the chances of us having European football next year are not great. So with that in mind, does he need to bolster the squad, knowing that we're going to be playing, 38 league games and
I wouldn't say necessarily not great. I think like the markets have probably currently got us projected probably to finish sort of eighth or ninth, which feels about right, I think. And there's every chance European qualification will drop down to sort of eighth. I mean, it could even be you could even get an example where United win Europa League and finish bottom half. It could even, in theory, go down to the ninth, tenth. So I would say it's probably 50-50 on actually qualifying for Europe next year. If the whole squad is fit, we finish like eighth or ninth,
look,
don't we?
if the
So
whole squad is fit, um, then yeah, we're going to improve a lot more on what we are at the moment. But yeah, they just seem every time that we get a player back, they either get injured again straight away or we lose somebody else. It's just a never-ending circle at the moment.
okay, let's do some fantasy. For anyone who doesn't own Alexander Isak,
What are you doing with your money if you don't? You've just been stubborn at this point. He was the second best. We said it previously,
he's got
one of the
more
most
points than
underpriced.
Haaland in 2024.
Yeah, one of the most underpriced assets in the game. When fit, there's literally no threat to his position at all. The Wilson 20-minute pull and tug thing of 2 years
It's not
ago,
even there.
it's gone. He's clear talisman in the team.
The top of the
Um,
fixture ticker. You legitimately are on mine.
yeah. I don't know. His prices, I'm just like, yeah, I wish I could get interest on his price going up. It's seems to be there's definitely people buying him, that's for sure. And yeah, my dad bought him in fantasy last week, which kind of pissed me off a bit. So slight dampener that I couldn't quite enjoy his goal against Man United as much as I have in previous few weeks. But I think I've already owned him 3 times this season. You know what I'm like? I'm like addicted to that man. He'll get injured. I'll take him out, and then as soon as he sniffs a goal, or he'll be back in my team. So hopefully he can just stay fit now, so I don't have to waste 2 transfers on him again.
That's our best chance Saturday, isn't it? Him pulling hamstring or something.
Hopefully, at least.
Honestly, I hope he doesn't. Genuinely, what a wonderful footballer.
Incredible.
Is he captainable this way? Well, he is captainable, but have you considered it?
Yeah, I just think with that Arsenal game on Tuesday, if
Yeah.
we are in a similar position, he's taking him off. He's not playing the full game like he did against Manchester United last night. He's playing 17. He's coming off. So that and the fact that Spurs away was by far our worst performance. You absolutely spanked us last year. And I've said this previously about Newcastle and Spurs. When you come to St James's Park, Eddie Howe knows to set up against Ange. But Ange at Tottenham, Howe seemed to struggle with that. And I'm just hoping that the team's in a different place to what it's been previously in the last
I
few
wouldn't read
trips.
anything into that game last year. You were broken, mate. I think you'd lost like 3-0 at Everton like 3 days earlier. You were a bit of a mess at
Yeah,
that point.
you can say that. Well, it depends. Yeah, if you're telling me you don't have the personnel to play the way that he wants to play at the moment, and that includes obviously the goalkeeper, but like centre backs and everything else, then yeah, maybe I am reading too much into it. I'm still playing my two Newcastle guys that I've got in fantasy, and heavily considering adding the third, but I'm not sure I will this week.
Ricky, consider captain Isak this week.
Yeah, I'll consider it. It probably is going to be the Mo show again.
Uh,
But
I,
yeah, he's
Oh,
always a
brave, aren't you?
consideration.
I'm sorry, I haven't watched that team last night.
I know, I know, I know.
It's going to be disgusting. There's going to need to be like some parental advisory warning on that
It's
game this
like
weekend. It's going to
even
be
with what even
disgusting.
with watching how good Isak was last night was like a reminder of
No,
why you shouldn't captain Isak this week,
Yeah.
basically,
yeah,
probably.
yeah. I've done
Yeah.
it before and got bent over by Mo. I've captained Isak twice and he's done really well, and Mo's outscored him. So I'm not even playing that game anymore.
Okay.
You can't. You have to. Yeah, it's Salah all day against that team. They're not even on the ropes now. They're like on the floor gasping for air, and he's just gonna like it's gonna be horrendous. Like even if he played, I mean, he could theoretically. They're so bad he could rest him, but they won't because it's Man United, Liverpool, and he's gonna play. He's gonna absolutely just annihilate them. So no,
Probably. Ricky,
can't you
why do I
can't.
keep buying Dominic Solanke?
It's that thing called hope, mate, that all Tottenham fans have. It's the thing that always kicks you in the teeth and kicks you up the arse. Um, Look, Dom, he's a much better player than his output this year. No, well, his goal and assist output, his output for the side is brilliant. Um, Most casual fans who don't watch Tottenham won't realise just how good he's been for us because they'll look at goals and assists and they'll think what a waste of money. He's a lot better than that would suggest. But yeah, goals and assists nowhere near what we were hoping from him. Not even close. And
But
why
no,
you
he's
keep
not been
buying him, mate?
11 in 16. 11 attacking returns in 16. I mean,
Look,
it's
it's
two
not.
in three attacking returns, isn't it?
Yeah, but he was the or portrayed as the Harry Kane replacement. Now that
Oh,
is
it's
un
not fair, is it?
No, it's not fair, but that's what people are judging him on. Your last striker was called Harry Kane. Your new striker's called Solanke. Oh, look how shit Solanke is. It's not a fair comparison. But yeah, he's sits what 19 games in. He's missed some from injury, but 6 goals in the league is not it's not a healthy return for a 70 million pound striker.
Maybe if you took penalties, that would help.
Yes, and maybe he will do after the Sonny's miss. So we'll
Who,
see.
who,
See on
who
that
do
one.
you think would take the next one?
I still think Sonny will take the next one. In all honesty,
Fucking hope not.
yeah. Well, I don't remember. Did Dom take him for Bournemouth? Was
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
They
remember.
just never got any penalties,
Don't
did they?
remember everyone captained him last year and he slipped against Sheffield United and blazed it over.
Yeah, so he might not get him either.
No, dumb on pens is the right way forward. What would you say to anyone who has used Saka money recently and gone for Heung-min Son?
Sorry about your damn luck.
Would you
Um,
just move that straight on to Anthony
Yeah,
Gordon?
let's. I'm not. I was the last time we did one of these pods. I kind of said that Son's elite career is now over. He's on the other side of it. And I don't mean to be nasty to the guy. He's been fantastic for us, but he's 32 years old. He's played so many games for club and country. He's being run into the absolute ground. Partly because of injuries to other players and whatever else. But he is knackered. He's got nothing else left to give.
Mo Salah
Um,
is 32.
yeah, okay. And there's people that are older than me that are fitter than me as well. I don't mean shit.
I'm going to bring that up, but
And
since
look,
you've
well,
mentioned it,
let's be look, as much as I might annoy some Tottenham fans. I think it's fair to say that Salah's just a better player than Heung-min Son.
Okay.
Um,
No, obviously. If you are a Sun owner, legitimately, do you hold this week or are you selling now?
it, I'd maybe if you've got nothing else to do, then maybe get rid of. But I think we've probably all got look, Sonny right at the moment. Sonny is a really good pick because you know he's going to play, and with rotation and things like that, maybe strengthen your bench. If you're looking to make some transfers, Sonny's fine. He's going to play. He's going to get chances. He may pick up. An attack in return. He's not an urgent get rid of, but if you've got him, keep him for now. But don't bring him in for goodness sake. Don't do that.
I do not think, as Si you alluded to, and he did really well against Trippier in the fixture last year. Livramento will play, won't he?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
Tino will be back in.
yeah. Sonny won't
Yeah,
do Livramento.
I'm not sure what happened with Trips's. Kind of looked like he pulled his hamstring and then came back
And then
on
came back. Yeah,
and then looked annoyed that he was getting subbed off. But yeah, based on how it went last season, I'd say that might be Son's last hurrah if Trips was playing. But I think Tino will come back in. I would, I'd be strongly considering moving that on this week, getting ahead of some other moves. Not necessarily to say that you should definitely do Gordon in, but yeah, it'd be interesting to talk about the Newcastle midfielders. They've all been kind of popping up recently and scoring points. So yeah, it's an interesting conundrum for that, I think.
is Gordon worth paying the extra over the others?
I think yes, just because most people have a lot of money floating around with the Saka. Like if we were still on like a Haaland team and we still had like Saka and everything was very tight, I do think you could seriously consider one of our other mids. I think if you look at the top midfielders page, like Spurs, we've actually got four midfielders on that first page of top point scorers for mids.
Joel Linton loves a goal
if you
against
click
us as
just
well.
on
I know.
midfielders, that is not on like just all the ones. So quick look. So yeah, like Joel Linton is now like he's second. Bruno, I think, is around the same as Murphy. He'll succeed him, I think, and those three are clearly, I think, gonna keep ticking along. I just think Gordon, because he plays in that more advanced position, is the still the one to go get, and he's not quite hit top form yet, and that's coming, I think.
It's a consistent flow of returns now, but oh, God, tempt fate, James. He doesn't often haul away from home, does he? Fair or not?
Well, last season he couldn't do anything away from home. It was all at
Mm.
home. He was double digit for fun at home and not doing anything. So it's kind of evened out a bit. The game last night, he kind of drifted in and out of the game. But that's not to say that the same thing will happen against Spurs. I think playing a back five and having basically a fullback playing wing back, kind of that was one of the things I think Amarin, one of the reasons he put him there instead of gone with the more offensive player. So is this the week to buy Gordon? I'm not sure, but for this run coming up, I think he's the fact he's not hit top form yet, and you've seen what he's capable of. He's very much like next midfielder transfer in. I think it's Gordon's top of the list. I don't think I'm going to do it this week.
He hasn't scored away from home since the first away game at Bournemouth.
I mean, you are tempting fate there.
Yeah,
100% tempting fate there. I mean,
but I'll say something that won't tempt fate. He only scores against good teams. He scored against Bournemouth, Liverpool, Man City, and Aston Villa. So on that basis, he ain't scoring on Saturday.
I'd still like an away win at Spurs. I think is
Yeah,
not to be
so slow
sniffed
there,
at.
Ricky. Honestly.
It's not to be sniffed at. I would say I would still put you in that kind of top tier, and I think we'll approach it like big game. Um, you know, I just think the momentum from going to Old Trafford, which is more of a bogey stadium for us than the new Spurs stadium has been. I think we're just going to be like so full of confidence. I would expect Gordon to get something out of the game. And the way that you've given away penalties as well, I think maybe you might see a bit of a Gordon assist, Isak goal popping up once or twice, maybe.
Isak would certainly take, wouldn't he, just for clarity?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's not that good at them, and
Another's Gordon.
his no. Well, I
You
think
only got to
Gordon
go
is.
bottom corner
I think
against us, mate. It don't matter.
well, exactly. I
You
think
ain't
that's
getting
it.
there.
Gordon's got one technique in his locker. He hasn't got two options, whereas Isak, he thinks too much about it, and you've seen that on anyone that's owned him and has watched Newcastle will know that when he gets too much time one on one, he tries to do things that just aren't necessary. And that's the one thing from his game, I think. Well, two things from his game that are missing. One is if he gets smacked, he kind of physically that can kind of impact him. And then the other thing is he's missing like these one-on-one chances where he's trying to be too intricate, too
Yeah, he had
clever,
one at United, didn't
thinking.
he? Like he took an
He's had
extra
one
touch
every
he didn't need
game.
to and then dinked it and it just
That's
smash it in.
fucking
Yeah,
yeah.
he smashed a disallowed one in a few minutes
Oh,
later,
that
didn't
was
he?
insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he just didn't need to think about it. It's all instinct and like pure talent with him. But yeah, if he gets too much time, his that's the one area of his game I think I mean, he's to say that guy could go up like levels is pretty funny because he's already like I've said it previously, the best all-round striker there is, but there is still a few elements of his game if he wants to get to like the very, very top of like European football. He's got the talent to do it. I think there's just a few things he needs to work on, one of them being that. And he sometimes will go a bit quiet goal wise. He's always involved in games, but if he misses a big chance, and I've seen it before, right? He scores one, misses a big chance, and you're just not sure if that second one's coming. He'll do some amazing stuff in the rest of the game and maybe like get an assist now, which he's added to. He wasn't getting assists last year, and he's definitely doing that this season. But yeah, for captaincy, I think he's got a hat trick as well, actually, since I was last on. And I said that was the kind of thing that he was missing. So he's ticking off these milestones. But yeah, it's kind of scary to think that guy has got potentially a couple more levels to go in his career, and he's still what 25. So
I'd say I was looking forward to Saturday before you started talking, but I wasn't anyway, mate. If you were on wildcard and going free Newcastle, I presume it's Hall Gordon Isak, is it? Is it as straightforward as that?
yeah, I kind of want to say Paul Murphy Isak just because that was my pre-season shout, but no, it would be Gordon Isak and Hall. Hall has been yeah. It's like the sort of player that when you bench in FPL once and he punishes you, you just think, I'm not doing that again.
So are
So
you
I'm
benching him
playing
this
him.
week or not?
No, he's getting played this week. I'm
Okay.
playing him for the rest of the season now.
Okay. I'm interested to know which defenders are you leaving on the bench this week instead of him? I think a lot of
Well,
people have a Lewis Hall deliberation this week.
this is the interesting one. It's Timber, I think, and not going double Arsenal defense.
Okay.
And I actually did that this week, but I put Malenko in. Malenko, well, no, the Everton guy, not the Forest guy. But that was
Mikolenko.
about Mikolenko. That was about a week ago, and I've not really. I've just been like, I don't know, just been busy doing Christmas and family stuff since then. I tried to change it with 5 minutes to go on the deadline. It didn't work, and that was a stinker. But I think Hall now, whereas previously I've said he's like rotationable with different players. I think there's very few fixtures in the league, particularly with Botman about to come back, that I would consider not playing him. He's so interwoven into what we do attacking wise that he's just fundamental to the way we play. And I just think he's a lock. If he stays fit, stays on form, he's a lock in that team. There's no questions about Burn moving over to left back for me.
Okay. Do you own Ricky or not, Lewis Hall?
Unfortunately, no, I don't.
No.
I Yeah, I didn't listen to all of the hype about him. Didn't really see it, and boy, was I proved wrong.
Plans to go there? I don't even necessarily mean this week.
Maybe if I go down to one Arsenal defender, I've got Gabriel and Timber. I've got Alexander Arnold, so that's a possible route. Should I want to cash in on him, either Canate or Hall. I've just signed Munoz, so he's not going to go anywhere. And my other one is Anderson, who's just he's someone that can sit on the bench and come in when needs be. So yeah, maybe when I get rid of Alexander Arnold, which I will at some point, or maybe if I downgrade Arsenal.
Okay, so quick fire for you, Si. I'll give you two players, someone with Hall. Tell me whether you'd start Hall or not. Hall or Porro?
Hall. Just this week or going
Just this
forward?
week, just this week.
Uh, Hall, yeah.
Okay. Hall
Just
or Levi Colwill?
Hall,
They're away to Palace.
Hall all day.
Hall or Esri Konsa at home to Leicester?
Hall,
Hall or Trent?
nah, Trent.
Okay. Hall or Munoz at home to Chelsea?
That is a tricky one.
Interesting. Even though Chelsea at home.
Yeah,
Nice.
but like I've owned Nunes in it before, and my dad owns him now, and he's like one of those players that you watch him, you like constantly squinting, thinking he should return every game. He doesn't. Um, I before the Ipswich game, probably have definitely said Hall, but like having seen like Chelsea drop points and lose the last two, there's a possibility that that might continue. I would potentially play Munoz. The only thing is like if you've not got any Spurs attacking assets, you're not cancelling them out. So and I haven't, so maybe I'd go Hall as well for that reason. I've got Palmer.
Okay. Hall or Rico Lewis home to West Ham.
Uh, Hall. Fuck yeah, Hall. Not Guardiola though. If you're going to go that far, I'd say pick
I wasn't going to
Guardiola
go
over.
that far.
No.
Hall or Milos Kerkez. Milos Kerkez home to Everton.
Oh, jeez. Probably Hall still. I think he's got another assist in him in this game. Maybe Kirkes. I don't know.
You
That's
ain't watched Everton lately, have you?
no. I watched a bit. I watched a bit of him the other day. Yeah, you're right. Probably Kirkes. I'm probably getting a bit ahead of myself, thinking we'll keep a clean sheet. I don't think we'll do that. So you're kind of relying on Hall to get an attack in return. I just love watching him play football, and just was annoyed at myself for not picking him last night.
Okay. And I've finished with three Fulham ones. So Hall versus Robinson, Castagne, and Anderson.
I would pick Robinson at home, and I have done. So he was more of a certainty in my team to start at home to Ipswich than Hall was. Castagne toss up. I probably still would. I just got to play the fixture, I think. And who's the third Fulham defender?
Anderson.
Anderson. I would just go to play the fixture. Although Ipswich are going to be like on a massive high after, and they typically have played better away from home. But I'd still go Fulham defender over Newcastle one for the
Okay. One more
fixtures.
then. Hall or Gabriel.
Hall. No, sorry, Gabrielle I'd pick, but I wouldn't over Timber. That's the dilemma I've got, unless you
Okay.
tell me that's dumb. I feel like I'd rather play Hall, the
All right.
attacking upside.
Just for clarity, for Ricky and the viewers and the listeners, Sire's just told me to bench Lewis Hall this week. Unless you think I should play Lewis Hall over Jota.
No, and it's against your team as well, so you've got to factor that in.
Yeah,
So
but
I'd bench
I'm
him.
well aware that there'll be overlaps happening on that right flank. Talking of which, if there are any Pedro Porro owners listening or watching Ricky, what should they be doing other than buying Lewis Hall?
Yeah, yeah, but not this week. Well, oh God, look, Porro has had a little bit of a rest in a couple of games. With Spence taking over. I can't. Spence is available now, isn't he? No, but Spence is going to play. He's going to cover it.
Spence will have to play left back, won't
Yeah, so Porro's pretty much guaranteed to play. Look, Porro's always going to have a shot. He's always got an assist in him. As we've said all season, don't go there for clean sheet points. Once again, it's don't sell, don't invest. I think is the way forward.
he? Okay. Also, before we finish those, Fabian Schär suspended.
Mhm.
That's a little impact here, isn't it? Surely as well.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's too early for Botman. There was talk that he was going to be on the bench against Manchester United, but was ill. I don't know if that's true or not. He's played an hour not behind doors, an hour under 21 game, and I think he's also played a behind doors friendly. I am hoping he's on the bench for Spurs, gets a few minutes, and then is back to play Arsenal. In which case,
Big games to bring him in, and I
well, it
feel
depends
feel
how
like
much.
Wolves at home feels more suitable.
Yeah, it depends what he's a centre back though, and he's so classy that I think if his body's up to it, I think he could do it. It's any other position on the pitch, you'd say no, but like centre back, like possibly you could
So
throw him
long
back
out
in
though,
there.
isn't it? It's a whole year basically.
Yeah, but I think they've been very cautious with him. I think if they wanted to have rushed him back, you'd have seen him in the team
Okay.
by now. He's been on grass for like a month. Um, yeah, it'll be interesting actually when Burn's been playing so well that I'd be interested to see if he thinks about playing bot. I think actually Botman and Burn left back, Botman right back is potentially even more likely than Burn going to left back. He won't drop Burn. He fucking loves Burn. Like Burn's playing regardless. So it's an interesting conundrum. But he's not dropping Hall. There'll be outrage if he drops Hall, and he's seen like how important he is to the way that we play now. That Hall's also locking that team.
Yeah, agreed. I take it Kelly will play against Tottenham, will he?
He's going to have to. I think Lascelles is nowhere. He's not. He's further behind than Botman is. Similar injuries. Kraft is out. Looks like Trippier isn't going to be available. I don't think he would try Tino or Trippier in at centre back anyway. Um, Although like Arsenal, yeah, just physically, I think we sort of need as bigger players as possible for like Arsenal, and I don't think he try against Spurs. So yeah, it seems like it's going to have to be Kelly and Burns. So Kelly playing right back, which is going to be interesting. He had a shit game against West Ham the last time he played. It was terrible. I was talking him up before that, but yeah, he was bad. So he owes us a decent performance, but it would be tough on him if he's got to come in and play right back. I don't think he's done that in his career before. Or right back, right centre.
Gentlemen, thank you. Let's finish with correct score predictions. Ricky?
Tottenham 2, Newcastle 3.
But I really didn't know what number you was going to pick. I knew three.
Yeah.
I knew three was the lowest you were going to say. It's like you're going to go six or something. Yeah. So
Yeah, I like the sound of that. I think I might go similar. I think 3-2. It wouldn't surprise me if Spurs got a point at this. I wouldn't consider that a terrible result if it was a score draw. So maybe I'll go on the fence just with Arsenal around the corner in League Cup and say like 2-2.
I'll go 3-1 Newcastle and Yang Min Hyuk to get Tottenham's goal.
I don't know he's going to be flown in and starting that soon, mate. But
I meant off the bench when we're 3-0 down, Ricky,
yeah.
was probably what I was
So
thinking.
he
Mate.
signs at midnight, doesn't he? I guess.
I mean, he's going to be in the squad, isn't he? I don't know how good he is or he isn't, but he's going to be in the squad, I'm
Well,
sure.
he's meant to be absolutely mustard.
Get him in the fucking team then.
But I was Googling earlier on to see when we're signing our new Croatian Luka. Unfortunately, that's not until the summer, but by Christ, do we need him.
Ricky is referring to Luka Vuskovic, young centre back who's doing very well in Belgium at the moment. But yeah, you know what the caveat is there. I don't have to say anything further than that. Gents, super stuff. Ricky, anything you want to plug before we finish?
Well, the Patreon, mate.
Good lad.
It's
You can come again.
for those of you that aren't Patreon subscribers, loads of extra stuff on there. Loads of interesting money in football is one of my favourites. Hopefully, you're doing one of them again soon. But yeah, get on Patreon. Less than a cup of coffee a month, or almost.
Depends where you buy your coffee.
Yeah.
If you're in London, then yeah, and subject to what you want from your subscription. So anything from you, mate. This isn't just a plug. Planet FPL, please.
Okay. I'm going to plug Planet FPL. Yeah, you are doing money in football. I heard next week you're doing one of Manchester United, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm going to make sure Suj does it. Yeah.
Yeah, which would be interesting seeing as like how much they were like active in the press about getting Howe and Dan Ashworth. So hopefully he's going to get a mention on that pod. I'm going to very much enjoy listening to that.
Good stuff, gentlemen. Thank you both so much. Talking of Manchester United, I believe scheduled for next Thursday's Clash of Correspondence is Manchester United versus Southampton with Gary Robinson and Matt Samuel. I will be back with my Ask James stream scheduled for 2 p.m. tomorrow on January the 3rd. But just seems to say thanks very much to Ricky, Si. Good luck, gents. Ricky, say it for us, please.
Come on, Tottenham.
Cue music, please, man child.